Pharmacist Ben,
Yes,
that is an abrupt cutoff
I know. I always think that.
because our two producers in the back,
Okay.
they do their best. I can't. I guess I can't rag on them because they are fantastic. So
And they're
I'll
not
just,
paid either.
huh?
I don't think they're paid either, are they?
Um, no,
They're
they're paid
doing
in
this in their
love.
heart. They do it out of love. You're
They're,
not talking about Ruth Ellen and Becca, are you?
of course we are. But they're paid in hugs.
Okay.
That's it. Well,
All right.
welcome everybody to Pharmacist Ben's Bites. Today is, can you believe it's August 11th already?
What's that? August 11th. Oh my God. Holy moly.
Yes, sir.
In 3 weeks, it's Labor Day.
The time is a flying, my
Crazy,
friend.
crazy, crazy. Yep.
And it's really good to see you. So, today's topic, just to let you know,
Yes.
it is called sunshine, sickness, scurvy, and syndromes.
Okay. Well, that sounds like 4 completely separate issues.
There are, and we're having this alliteration because these are topics that a lot of people have questions about. But if you don't mind, I'd like to start. I think Becca Dukes has a question that she wanted to bring in. And
Okay.
if Becca Dukes could join us on the screen, and
Okay.
she could ask her question.
Go ahead, Becca Dukes.
I figured it out. Hi, guys.
Hi, Becca.
Ben,
Yes.
should I just jump right in? We've got lots of questions.
Yeah, just jump right in.
Okay, so I have a client who has a needed prescription.
Has a what? Say again.
A needed prescription.
Needed prescription. Okay, got it.
Okay. That has known side effects to vitamin D depletion.
Okay, so vitamin D depletion is a side effect of this medication. What's the medication?
Yeah. I can't remember the exact name of it.
Well,
here. I know.
So vitamin D deficiency is a side effect. So what's the question?
There is potential of liver damage. The doctor says that they need to take vitamin D at a different time of day than the prescription.
Okay.
So this individual is on the 90 essential nutrients, and the doctor doesn't want to take any nutrients close to or within 2 hours of the prescription. So the question is, would it be best to take the supplements in the morning if they're taking it
at night? If they take the medication at night?
Or is it best to take it at night while they're resting to restore?
No, take nutrition. You want to take nutrition in the morning, in my opinion. Because you want the advantage of the nutrients, particularly the electrolytes and the water-soluble nutrients. You'll get energy from them. At night, you'll get benefit at night because your body recovers at night. And it's a good idea to take some supplements at night. Your body recovers at night. It's making proteins at night. It's making neurotransmitters at night. There's reasons to take supplements at night for sure. But if you have to pick one or the other, I would take them in the morning.
Okay.
Take advantage of the energy that you get from them.
Okay.
Particularly the electrolytes, the B vitamins. And also the anti-stress vitamins like vitamin C and such to protect you from oxidation. From the sun. I would take, if you had to pick one or the other in the morning, is the answer.
Okay, because I know she's taken the Beyond Tangy Tangerine in the morning and then taken the Vitalis C, which came in with the Life Force products in the evening. And then
it's called Vital C. What is it called?
Vitalis C.
I'd have to see. I don't know what's in it. I'd have to see the supplement facts. But yeah, it's not a bad thing to take them at night. There's nothing wrong with taking them at night because you need supplements when you're sleeping too. You need nutrients, I should say, when you're sleeping too. But if I had to pick one or the other, if you had to, I would do it in the morning.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. And also at night, sorry to add this at the end here, it's a good idea to take your supplements with food because when the digestive juices are going, you're gonna get better absorption of your nutrients. Mm-hmm. So at night, you don't want to eat right before bed. So at night, you'd end up taking your supplements on an empty stomach. You still get some benefits from them. But if I had to pick one or the other morning with breakfast.
All right. Morning
Vitamin C.
breakfast.
Yeah, that's a good vitamin C supplement. She takes it at night. I would take it during the day if it was me, but it's not a bad thing to take them at night.
And not necessarily always at night, but like after lunch. That's her afternoon kind of pick me up just to get more vitamin C in.
Nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Vitamin C, remember, is a stress management vitamin. Vitamin C does a lot of things, but one of its main roles is stress management. It's an adrenal vitamin. In fact, your adrenal glands, I'm pretty sure they have more vitamin C than any other gland in the body. I think they do. As I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, vitamin C and the adrenals go hand in hand. Vitamin C is a stress management nutrient, among other things. More for the immune system. It's more for collagen production. It's antioxidant, obviously. It goes to make certain hormones, but it's most important. Well, one of its most important roles is as a stress management vitamin. Helps you handle stress.
So would it be okay if they're taking de-stress? That's part of the stress management too?
Yeah, if they take de-stress, yeah, that's also part of stress management. I think there might be vitamin C in de-stress. The big player in de-stress is the pantothenic acid, which is a big time adrenal vitamin.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so very much.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll be able to use this to help her and others.
Back to our alliteration here. What's going on with sunshine syndrome, serotonin? What was the other one?
Well, vitamin D is apparently very important. And I know that you have mentioned in the past that vitamin D, how important D is. And then also, we have a lot of people who are worried about viruses that are floating around nowadays.
Okay.
So, what can someone do to protect themselves from the many varied viruses that are coming around?
Absolutely. You wear a mask and you take an RNA vaccine. That's how you get rid of that. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that, right? Ask your doctor. They'll tell you wear a mask and you make sure you get a Moderna mRNA vaccine and get boosted every 6 months or whatever it is. You have to get boosted all the time.
Pharmacist Ben, I enjoy doing this show with you, so let's not get banned.
Oh, okay.
But but that is
no, really. Listen. I'm kidding. Obviously, I'm kidding. But here's the deal: viruses are everywhere. Your body is drenched in viruses like a sponge, like a wet sponge is drenched in water. Do you get this? They're drenched. Viruses saturate your body. They saturate every drop of ocean water, every gram of soil. They're everywhere. So to run away from viruses doesn't make sense because they're everywhere. So what you have to do with a virus is you have to make your body strong enough so the virus does not have an opportunity to infect you. Viruses are opportunistic. They wait for the body to get weak. Little kids don't get herpes or don't get shingles. Right? Who gets shingles? Old people on drugs.
Compromised people, yeah.
Exactly. So viruses wait for you to be weak. The way you protect yourself from a viral infection is you make your body strong. And how do you make your body strong? Well, for one thing, you exercise. For another thing, you breathe. For another thing, you make sure you stay away from sugar and processed foods and fried fats. And reduce your caloric intake and have some peace of mind and get some sleep. And you get on a nutritional supplement program. You notice I said, and you get on a nutritional supplement program. It's part of everything. This idea, and I know I always say it, but it still comes up, so I'll say it again. It's not this for that. I have this problem, I take that supplement. That's not how we want to look at it. We want to make our body strong. A strong body doesn't get diabetes. A strong body doesn't get heart disease. A strong body doesn't get viral infections. A strong body doesn't get the things that the chronic degenerative diseases that account for 80% of our health misery and our shortened lifespans. You make the body strong. There's lots of metrics that are associated with making the body strong. Relaxation, meditation, spirituality, diet, exercise, peace of mind and contentment, and staying away from the bad foods and making sure you get on a supplement program. It's a bunch of different things. Longevity provides a couple things. Longevity provides, number one, obviously, the supplement part of it. But another thing longevity provides is the know-how. The know-how. I just went on last, actually, Saturday before last, I attended a graduation that for the holistic healthcare practitioner school class that Becca is, runs basically. That's what longevity provides people. We provide people with the information that's required to have a great, beautiful, healthy, strong body. And that's really Dr. Wallach's legacy. As much as he's known for being the mineral doctor and the pig pack doctor, he talks about the bad foods and the good foods and gluten and all these wonderful things that he was really prescient on and ahead of the curve on, dramatically, decades ahead of the curve on some things. What he really did, he was an educator. He educated people. I don't know if you ever got a chance to go to one of his lectures, but you sit there for 3 hours and he would just download you with the most incredible information. You get that tape, Dead Doctors Don't Lie. Go on the website and get Dead Doctors Don't Lie. And that's what longevity is about. It's about helping spread the word, education, information, making you a better person, making you a better human, making you better at life. And so supplements are a key part of it, but so is the information. And there's a lot of ways that you can get stronger when it comes to viral infections, or you can get healthier. When it comes to viral infections, it's making the body strong. And that's where the Mighty 90 Essential Nutrients come in. And that's where staying away from the bad foods comes in. And that's where all the other things you have to do to stay healthy, including, exercise, sleep, relaxation, and sunshine, and all the other things we have to do. Make sense? I can't hear you. Is that me or you? Can you hear AJ? Because I can't. Oh, there you go. I hear you now.
You hear me now? All right, cool. Because as a Pharmacist Ben acolyte, all of these things make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. So, I think what I say makes sense. You don't have to be a scientist or a doctor or a medical professional or a technical person to understand these things. It's just logical because the body, at the end of the day, the body is designed to be healthy. Every time you cut yourself, I got this massive cut right on the side of my hand about a week ago. It's basically gone. And it was a deep cut. It was a bloody deep cut that I got with a knife, and you can't even see it. That's the testimony to the body's built-in healing biochemical processes that help heal everything. And so we don't really have to do it. It's on automatic, but we do have to provide the body with the context, the frame, the environment for the healing to take place in. And that's where all of these things, all these strategies and protocols and supplements come into play. Giving the body the raw materials it needs to do its natural work. The medical model doesn't think that. The medical model thinks that the body's flawed, and all we can do is correct it with poisons or excising structures and organs and tissues. That's their perspective on it, and God love them. They're entitled to their perspective. We're all entitled to our perspective. But I suggest that people don't participate. But you know what? Well, my experience is when you get really sick, you're not going to try to use the supplement route or the diet route or the exercise route. You're going to go to the doctor. And that's what most people do. And that's just the conditioning that we have in the world. We're hypnotized through marketing, through advertising. It's like that Emo Phillips guy. Remember that comedian, Emo Phillips? I already told you about this. Emo Phillips was a famous comedian in the 80s. Very funny guy. You should go on YouTube, look him up. Emo Phillips.
I remember the name.
Yeah, and he was just a funny guy, and he had a funny way of talking, and he would go, one of his jokes was, he had this really weird way of talking. I used to think my brain was my most important organ, and then I realized what was telling me that. Right? Right? And then, but that's it kind of. Like we think the medical model is all that in a bag of chips, and why do we think that? Not because they help anybody. Unless you have an emergency, in which case you do need have a heart attack or get hit by a car, God forbid, or something like that. That's different. But, who is it that tells us how wonderful the medical model is and we have the best healthcare system in the world? They're telling us this. People aren't saying that. Your grandmother who's in the hospital isn't saying that. The medical model itself is saying that, and we get conditioned and we believe it, and, we pay the price. That's why chronic degenerative diseases account for 80% of our healthcare costs and healthcare misery. And that's why hardly anybody is past the age of 65 is free of prescription drugs and free of some kind of a chronic degenerative disease. Over 50% of Americans over the age of 65 have 2 or more chronic degenerative diseases. And we got all kinds of doctors out there and all kinds of drugs and all kinds of protocols and hospitals and surgical procedures and everything else. Obviously, it doesn't work. What's the definition of insanity, AJ?
When you continue to do the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Right? It's insane. So, next.
All right. So, Linda Carroll's asking if longevity, not longevity, it used to be American longevity, it's now Youngevity. Does Youngevity sell any products for parasite cleanse?
How are you, if you have a parasite, there are parasite infections, hookworm and pinworm and such. I think did we talk about that the other day, pinworm?
Well, not very recently, but we have in the past.
Yeah. So how are you going to kill a parasite? How are you going to kill something in the body and not kill other things in the body? So it's really difficult to kill something in the body with nutrition. Youngevity is a nutritional supplement company. Nutritional supplements don't kill anything. What nutritional drugs kill, and there's plenty of drugs that will kill parasites. Nutrition, once again, creates a context, a framework, a background for the body to work in. You don't kill things with a nutritional supplement. So does Youngevity make anything?
There's
maybe Ultimate Microbiome has fiber, so it will help you flush out things. But no, you're not going to kill any parasites with the nutritional supplement.
YGY does have some cleanses.
Silver.
Well, there are some cleanses like the GI cleanse and the Tahibo that are designed to kind of attack invaders. But you are correct. If you really have a parasite, that's one of the places I think that the medical model does well. They know how to kill pretty well.
Yes, they know exactly. That's their expertise is killing things.
I'm just joking.
That's their expertise is to kill. No, not being facetious. And I'm not being sarcastic, and you're not either. That's where they excel, is in killing things. And in fact, our deification, our lionization of the medical model comes from, in fact, a vestige of the 1920s and 1930s when they killed things so effectively that all of a sudden our life expectancy jumped by, decades. Used to be our life expectancy at the turn of the century was like 50. At the turn of the 20th century, it was like 50. Why? Because babies would die all the time. Because you catch a cold, you die. Babies would get a cold and they die. So when antibiotics came around in 1920 and around the 1920s and 1930s, somewhere in there, actually maybe the late 30s, somewhere in that period, it was a miracle. And the medical model is still riding on that coattail. Today's medical model is riding on that coattail of the success from the beginning of the 20th century, the early part of the 20th century. So yes, modern medicine excels at killing things in a good way and in a bad way, because it kills patients sometimes too. But
there's a lot of patients,
right? But for parasites, it's not a nutritional issue. Now, there's a thing called parasites that has kind of become sort of a meme, kind of a caricature. Oh, you have parasites, and that's a different thing than the kind of parasites that come in through your feet or that you breathe in through your nose. And those are real parasites, pinworm, hookworm, and they are a problem, especially down south. But a lot of people say they have parasites, and it's kind of a sort of a claim that some health care practitioners will just assume you have parasites. And I don't know how they assess them. I don't know how they diagnose people with parasites. Maybe this person can tell us how she was diagnosed or how she was assessed with parasites. I'm not talking about the kind that literally when you have a bowel movement, there'll be like spaghetti in your stool that's moving around. That's a real parasite. And tapeworm and pinworm and hookworm, that's the real deal. But there's a pseudoscience around parasites that I'm always a little bit careful of when I hear people make claims that they have parasites, or a healthcare practitioner making a claim that you have parasites. And by the way, parasites are symbiotic. There's good parasites, believe it or not. So parasites are part of the microbiome in the body. There's normal parasites, just like there's normal viruses and there's normal bacteria. So how you distinguish between, aside from the real biggies, like I say, how you distinguish, parasites causing healthcare problems, I'm a little skeptical of that, given the fact that people eat French fries every day. It's like if you're eating French fries and McDonald's and cereal and doing all the things you shouldn't do, and then you're sick and you say, "Oh, I have parasites," that seems like a disconnect to me. There's places where you can work. Most people, not If you're doing everything correctly and you're still sick, and then they say a parasites, that's different. But I don't know. I'm a little bit. I find the whole parasite thing to be a little bit suspicious, unless it's really hookworm or tapeworm.
I do know your perspective on that, and I almost refrained from asking you that question.
I don't like the question, actually.
But
yes.
But we will move forward. We have an email from Dave. He says, I have a lot of phlegm accumulation in my upper respiratory tract. It's hard to get out without the use of salbutamol. And it seems to be getting...
Salbutamol?
Well, he wrote sal, B-U-T-A-M-O-L.
I don't know. He probably means salbutamol, which is a very common respiratory steroid that they not steroid, but actually I think it might be a steroid, but it's
albuterol.
Yeah, it's albuterol. That's exactly what it is. It's a bronchodilator. It opens up the blood vessels, and they use it for people who have asthma. Now, mucus is interesting because mucus is a defensive response, and there are people. I have a good friend. He's actually part of longevity, and he's always going like this. Yeah, he's talking all the time. Because he has his mucus, he's secreting mucus, and he's not a healthy person in general. And the mucus is a sign that the body is protecting itself. Mucus is part of the body's protective armamentum. Do you remember Ghostbusters?
Yes, sir.
How did they get rid of the ghosts, the bad guys? What did they do?
The slime,
slime. They slimed them. And that's what mucus is. Mucus slimes things away. It traps bad guys and slimes them away. So wherever you have some kind of chronic attack, you're going to find mucus. So mucus in the throat, respiratory mucus, should always be regarded as part of the immune system, as an immune response. And then working with me here, the immune system is your defense system. So mucus should be regarded as a defense response, right? So if you have a defensive response, and most health challenges involve defensive responses. I'm going to say that again. That's so important. Most chronic health challenges, and maybe even all chronic health challenges, involve defensive responses. That defensive response is part and parcel of what we call the immune system. And it's manifested by the one word that is always linked to chronic degenerative disease, which is inflammation. Mucus is part of the inflammatory response. And so if you have a defensive response, inflammatory response, immune response, protective response, and you want to end it, what's the logical question? Or what's the logical thing you got to ask? What's the offending agent?
Yeah.
If you have a defensive response you want to end, what's the offending agent? Right? Now, you can take an immune suppressant, which is the medical strategy. Let's just shut down the defensive response. But isn't a better solution to figure out what's causing the defensive response? That's really, to me, that's the crux of the issue, is what's causing the defensive response. Kids will get mucus when they drink milk. Kids who have milk problems, dairy problems, or gluten problems will get mucusy. There are eggs, beans, legumes, nuts. There's all kinds of foods that will do it. So what I would do if you have a mucus response, if you're secreting mucus, is look for flare-ups. And that's just a general rule. Always look for flare-ups. Look for flare-ups in pain. Look for flare-ups in skin reactions. Look for flare-ups in mucus reactions. Look for flare-ups in any inflammatory or digestive response. Flare-ups give you real-time information. You get it? What I'm saying? They're telling you what just happened. What did you just do? So flare-ups are your best friend. So you always want to look for flare-ups. Mucus is a classic immune response, and it will typically have a flare-up. If it doesn't have a flare-up, that means you're doing something all the time, chronically. But in any case, mucus is a defensive response. Look for an offending agent. You can use albuterol. It's a bronchodilator. But really, to me, I would want to know what the heck was causing the problem.
You know, Ben, I've been listening to this guy named Pharmacist Ben for a while.
Okay.
And he, more so, I think, if someone's got a chronic scenario where they're needing a bronchial dilator, like albuterol, it would seem to me that this person has some digestive issues.
Has something in the blood.
And
something's getting into the blood, yes.
Something's getting into the blood, and he's getting a histamine response. which is
Absolutely.
causing,
Yes.
the lungs to not.
Yes. And it could also be, there's a phenomenon known as exercise-induced asthma. Have you heard of this?
I've not heard of that particular thing, but
Exercise, you can have bronchoconstriction, closing of the bronchi, the little grapes that absorb air. You could have a bronchoconstriction from exercise. They call it exercise-induced asthma. Any stressor can do it. Even a psychological stressor can do it. So the reason food is important is because or the certain foods anyway, is because they put a stress on the body. They activate the stress response, the emergency response. But you can activate the emergency response in other ways. You can activate the emergency response through exercise. That puts it in some people. That's called exercise-induced asthma. And you can also activate the stress response through psychological stressors too. So food is the most common one, though. Yes. And asthma, eczema, and digestive issues tend to go hand in hand.
Barbara mentions that mucus response to food and pollen in the air.
You can have it to pollen, absolutely. You can have it to pollen, and that's what that's hay fever. But typically, when somebody has a response to pollen, they have some kind of immune load. It's rare that you wouldn't have other immune activators. Remember the camel's back phenomena? You have the immune system like a camel's back, and you put mold on. That's one straw on the camel's back. You're okay. You put, toxin from food. That's another, or an allergen from food. That's another straw on the camel's back. Camel's fine. Then you put pollen on. Boom, camel's back breaks. And it seems like it would be the pollen that's causing the problem, but really it's the immune load that preceded the pollen that is the problem. And that's why some people have these kinds of, they're allergic to everything. Have you ever heard people are allergic to everything?
I know some, yeah.
Right? They're allergic to everything. They have a massive amount of immune load. And so every little trigger is like another straw on our already stressed out camel's back.
Pharmacist Ben, when I was a kid, for whatever reason, I guess I used to get a lot of nosebleeds, and the doctor said that I was allergic to a litany of things. But at no point did he say, stop eating a loaf of Wonder Bread every day.
They don't make that connection. That's not their thing. They don't make that connection. Were you eating a loaf of Wonder Bread?
I mean, pretty much.
Yeah.
It was like,
yeah. All right.
But we do have some questions about kidney function.
Yes.
What would you recommend for someone with kidney disease to strengthen the kidney for low kidney function or improve it? Overweight, obese. Now he says obese sexually. I don't understand what that means, but maybe that means he's a man. I don't know. But
I don't know. I don't know what that means either. But he just answered his own problem. Kidney disease does not just happen. And so a couple things are true when you have kidney disease. First of all, kidney disease doesn't occur in a vacuum. There's going to be all kinds of other health challenges associated with kidney disease. That's the first thing. The second thing is, what's our first principle of healing? Where you see
the problem is not
where the problem begins. Remember, we have created a culture, a medical culture, a health culture, based on 16th century and 17th century understandings of the body, where we take the heart and we isolate it and we treat the heart, or we take the kidneys and we isolate them and we treat the kidneys, or the adrenal glands, or the breasts, or the uterus, or any other part of the skin. You have a skin problem, you go to the skin doctor. You go to have a hormone problem, you go to the endocrinologist. You got a female health problem, you go to the OBGYN, a heart problem, a cardiologist, brain problem, a neurologist. We create all these specialists as if we could just treat the kidneys, as if we could just treat the heart, as if we can just treat the skin or any single part of the body. People, it doesn't work that way. It's all networked. Now, it's not, in a way, it's not the medical model's fault, because the medical model comes from today's medical model, as I say, is an anachronism. It's from a time gone by. In the 1940s, literally 80 years ago, we developed a whole science called systems theory. And this science talks about how systems are integrated, and how if you sneeze in one part, if you move in one part of the system, you create a massive change in the other part of the system. You ever hear that saying, somebody sneezes in South America and somebody in China gets a cold? It's because everything is networked. It's all connected. It's one unit. It's like a forest. People see the trees, but we don't see the forest. The kidney is responsive to the blood. The blood is really the main system because the blood is going everywhere. So what do the kidneys do? What's the main job of the kidneys?
Filter the blood.
Filter the blood. So if you got a kidney problem, what do you think you got?
You have a dirty blood problem.
You have a blood problem. Yeah, exactly. So you clean the blood. Well, how does the blood get dirty? Well, presuming he's not an IV drug user, whoever this is, obviously, the only way the blood gets dirty is through the intestine, through food. And it's no accident that people who have kidney disease have blood sugar problems. Kidney disease and blood sugar issues go hand in hand because the sugar in the blood damages the blood vessels. Sugar burns blood vessels. Sugar burns blood proteins. Sugar burns everything. It's called glycation. Sugar has, in fact, this guy who has diabetes, this gentleman who has diabetes, whoever it is, he has to go every 6 months, like all diabetics have to go every 6 months, and have their blood checked for sugaring. They actually, is a test that this guy has, and all diabetics have to go. They have to go check their blood, it's not blood, the protein in the blood, the hemoglobin in the blood. Because the hemoglobin, that's the main protein in the blood. It carries the oxygen. And the hemoglobin is very susceptible to damage from sugar, like all proteins. So you have to go and check your hemoglobin. What do they call that? What's that test called? Called a hemoglobin A1C test.
I knew that.
Okay? You knew that, of course.
I knew that.
A hemoglobin A1C. All diabetics have a hemoglobin A1C. What are they testing? How fast your hemoglobin is sugaring. How fast your body's being damaged. It's a marker for how fast your body's being damaged by sugar. So if you're diabetic, not only is your hemoglobin going to be damaged, but your blood cells or your blood vessels are going to be damaged. Your blood cells are going to be damaged too. Everything's going to be damaged because sugar burns hot. And we have this disconnect between our brain and our body in the sense that our brain wants sugar because it evolved to find sugar and to love sugar. And I always think about this. I asked you this once before, and it's kind of a riddle. Why is it that we love sugar so much? What is it about sugar that makes us go absolutely bananas, so to speak? That makes us go crazy? What is it about sugar? Do you ever wonder why does sugar taste good? You ever wonder why does it taste good?
It must be hitting a receptor somewhere.
But what it does, it hits the receptor. But why is that perceived as good?
It's
because from an evolutionary standpoint, when something had sugar in it, it had energy in it and it could keep you alive. On the other hand, when something was bitter, it had poison in it and it would kill you. So we are the descendants of ancestors who managed to get a lot of sugar or get enough sugar. Now, back then, our ancestors didn't have vending machines every 20 yards, and they didn't have triple cheesecakes at the Cheesecake Factory. They were lucky if they had a little bit of honey and a little berry. So it wasn't a problem to have a system that was designed to thrive on finding sugar, or designed to thrive on sugar and designed to find sugar. But over the last 150 years, we created a culture where sugar is everywhere. So this system that is designed to find sugar and hone in on sugar and zoom in on sugar is now being used against us. The system has been turned around, and now we're paying the price for this. If there was no sugar around, this system would be great because it would make sure that we found sugar. But because there's sugar everywhere, because we've created this culture where there's sugar everywhere, up until about 500 years ago, sugar was a real luxury. In fact, one of the big reasons for exploring the New World, for the Europeans to explore the New World, was to find sugar, or was to find places where you could grow sugar. Back then, you couldn't really grow sugar in Europe. There's no sugar cane in Europe. You have to need a certain kind of climate to grow sugar. And they couldn't really grow sugar. They had to go to India and they had to go to the tropics. It was really hard. So one of the main reasons they wanted to explore the New World was to find a place to grow things. One of the other things too, not just sugar, but one of the main things was sugar. And that's one of the first things they did was they opened up sugar plantations in the Dominican Republic, in Haiti, in Florida, all those areas. And in fact, one of the things they tried to do, if making sugar from a primitive standpoint, not an industrial standpoint, but back in the pre-industrial days, to make sugar from sugarcane was an incredibly intensive process. It required a lot of heat, and a lot of work, and it was very dangerous. And Europeans didn't want to do it. The Spanish didn't want to do it. So they tried to get the Indians to do it. And the Indians were like, no way, we're not doing that. So they killed the Indians. And, that's how, one of the reasons why they slaughtered the Native Americans was because they wouldn't, and in South, and I don't know if you call them Native Americans in Central America, but one of the reasons for the slaughter of the Aztecs and the Incas was because they wouldn't participate. They didn't want to participate in the work and doing the work of a lot of things, but one of the things was sugar. So that's where they imported slaves from. They figured that, and that's the whole slave trade started in many ways for sugar processing, among other things. But sugar was one of the main things, and that's because we have an insatiable desire for sugar. We'll do anything for sugar. Rats in a cage will die hitting that little paddle to get sugar, even more than cocaine. Sugar is just this incredibly important substance to the brain. And that's why it tastes so good, is because the body wants to make sure you're going to eat sugar. If it didn't taste good, you wouldn't eat it. So sugar doesn't taste good for your mouth. It tastes good for your brain. So our brain evolved hardwiring to make sure that we ate sugar, that you got pleasure from sugar. It's not so much that it tastes good as much as you get pleasure from it.
You should make something that makes us not like the taste of sugar.
There are things like that. There was a company called Sensa that came out, and they would have you, I don't know, I haven't heard of it lately, but they had a chemical that you would take it, and after you take it, the sugar wouldn't taste good. And they promoted it as a weight loss substance. It's called SENSA, Sensa, and I haven't read about it.
Was it poisonous?
No, it wasn't poisonous. It was just a chemical that would change the way sugar tastes. Toothpaste will do the same thing. Do you ever brush your teeth and then try to eat something sweet? It doesn't taste so good.
I thought about it. No,
try brushing your teeth and then try and eat something sweet, and it doesn't taste good. So there are things that is a good strategy, actually.
Okay, folks. So you heard it first here. If you have a sugar craving, just brush your teeth.
Brush your teeth, and then you won't want to eat the sugar.
You can.
It only lasts. The bad taste only lasts a second or two, though. You can override it if you're really determined to have sugar.
Okay. So, is it possible to totally get off the albuterol?
Of course it is. Absolutely it is. He has to figure out what the offending agent is, though. Absolutely. If he's doing the albuterol or salbuterol because he's got bronchoconstriction or because he's got mucus, just figure out what's causing the constriction in the mucus. The bronchi don't constrict just spontaneously. There's something that triggers it. You don't start pumping out mucus spontaneously. There's something that initiates it. So figure out what's triggering and initiating the reaction. Does that make sense? You look like you're pondering.
No, I'm not pondering, and it does make sense. And I know how responsive to heal our lungs actually are. So I can very easily imagine that it would be a way to be in a healthier place. How do we absorb 90 essential nutrient products and supplements if we have gut issues? How long does it take to be on a program before we're able to start absorbing?
I'm sorry. Say that again. How long before what?
How long we need to be on longevity before we are able to start absorbing the vitamins and minerals?
That's hard to say because it depends on what exactly is going on, the damage that's going on. One of the beautiful things about the liquid nutrition, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, is it goes right to work. It can bypass absorption issues more than solid food can if you have a solid food problem. So, or even a solid supplement problem. So liquids are typically the best way to absorb nutrients next to maybe intranasal, suppository, sublingual, and then liquid. Solid capsules and tablets are probably the hardest way. So liquids are a good way to absorb things. So you'll bypass a lot of digestive health issues and absorption issues with liquid nutrition, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, and the plant-derived minerals and other liquid nutrients that we have. But the answer to that question kind of depends on what's going on with this person's digestive system. Whether they have ulcerative colitis, whether they have a gallbladder issue or a liver issue, dysbiosis, SIBO. There's a whole bunch of things that go into place. Problems with digestive enzymes or stomach acid. There's a whole bunch of factors. There's no real set answer for that. I have to ask them what else is going on. But it won't take It won't take that long. They'll start to, one of the beautiful things about the body is between cigarettes, your lungs heal. Between assaults on the intestine heals. You heal between assaults. You get what I'm saying? So that's one of the reasons why fasting is so helpful, because even just a 24-hour fast, or even just intermittent fasting where you extend the length of no food between meals, your digestive system is healing during that period.
All right, we have a follow-up question from a few weeks ago from April. Hi, Ben. About 2 weeks ago, I asked you how to resolve my relentless overactive bladder, which wakes me wakes me every hour at night.
What?
To answer your question, yes, I do have 4 autoimmune conditions: fibromyalgia, mild ocular myasthenia gravis, endometriosis, celiac, and possible Sjogren's.
And
And
that,
yes,
you know, that's like some, you never hear that joke. Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how did you like the play? Yeah.
okay, well, we're not going to make
Like,
fun of our friends here.
You got all these things going on, and that's what you care about is the going to the bathroom. Look, what's the first principle of healing?
Where you see the problem is not where the problem began.
Right. So her overactive bladder could be caused by a lot of things, but fundamentally, right where it's overactive, it's inflammation at the level of the nerve. There's nerves that signal when it's time to go to the bathroom. If the nerves are constantly being triggered, you're going to feel like you got to go to the bathroom all the time. That can happen from inflammation following a bacterial infection. That can happen from inflammation following deterioration of connective tissue, which I suspect this person has. But the problem isn't the bladder. The problem is in all of the things that are leading to the inflammatory condition at the level of the bladder. And if you keep backtracking it, what are you going to find? Dirty blood. It's always dirty blood. It's always dirty blood. I don't know how many ways I could say that, but it's always dirty blood. Now, this person is a classic example of dirty blood gone crazy. She got myasthenia gravis. I'm trying to remember everything you said. I heard myasthenia gravis. I heard, what were the other 3? There were 3 other things she said.
And in addition, what I didn't mention, endometriosis,
endometriosis, fibromyalgia, endometriosis,
possibly Sjogren's,
and myasthenia gravis.
Then dysbiosis and H. pylori and leaky gut.
I mean, April, come on, you're answering your own question. You're answering your own question. And April, can we get April on the phone or on the call here?
April, I think, is on Facebook, and I'm going to put a link for April.
I'd love to talk to
chat. Maybe Ruth Ellen can take this link that I put in the chat.
Here's the good news. Here's the good news. The more things that are broken down in the body, the quicker you can turn it around. You can begin to turn it around. The quicker you can begin to turn it around. I said begin. I didn't say totally turn around. I said begin to turn it around. Why? Because when you have a lot of things like that, you have what's called, AJ, a syndrome. A syndrome is when you have a lot of different symptoms associated with one basic problem. Okay? Basic problem is always going to be dirty blood. Always. There's no way it cannot be dirty blood. I don't want people to just agree with me. I want this to be logical. Do you see how there's no way multiple symptoms like that cannot involve dirty blood? There's no possible biological way. It has to. It has to involve, and when I say dirty, I'm just being kind of graphic. It's not really dirty. It's hypercoagulable blood. It's blood that's thickened and inflamed. So I call it dirty blood just because I really want to get the picture across that there's stuff in the blood that doesn't belong there. But technically, it's hypercoagulable and it's inflamed. How does it become hypercoagulable and inflamed? How does stuff get into the blood to initiate coagulation and inflammation? Well, you can inject it, and that's why you want to be careful about injections. But most people aren't doing it that way. Most people are getting it through the intestine. And just real quick, I know I've said it 100 times, but it's probably worth saying again. The intestine is a tube, right? It's a tube like this. On the inside of the tube is the food. On the outside of the tube is the blood. When you eat food, it gets crushed up. It's got to get crushed up really good. And then once it gets into the intestine, it has to be crushed up really good. If it's not crushed up really good and broken down, you have problems. Because from in the intestine, it's going to go into the blood. It has to happen in a very, very regulated and controlled fashion. But over time, the walls of the intestine spread apart. The cells that line the walls spread up. The line of the wall spreads apart, and stuff leaks through. And that's called leaky gut. What?
Syndrome.
Right. What does that mean? Syndrome.
Then it's a. I'm gonna let you tell us.
No, you tell us. You were just getting there. It means a lot of things that happen from one cause. So leaky gut syndrome means a lot of things are happening from one cause. What are those lots of things? Inflammation and autoimmune diseases and deterioration and degenerative diseases and every disease you can name. It says it in the name. It says leaky gut syndrome. It's a syndrome, right? And it has lots of things associated with one problem. This gal's a walking syndrome. April, come on the call so we can talk. She's a walking syndrome, right?
So April, I don't know if did Ruth Ellen, did April get that link? Did you just give me a shake your head yes or no if she sent her the link? I don't know if she accepted the link yet, but right. April, you're invited to come on with us.
You're invited.
And Sheila is saying, well, Ben, how do you improve the dirty blood?
Well, there's lots of ways. For one thing, you stop the stream of toxicity. I always think of when I was a kid how Lake Cayuga in Ohio caught fire, right? And then they discovered that there were these pipes that were going into Lake Cayuga from the factories. And the factories along the lake were dumping all their waste into Lake Cayuga. And so finally, it caught fire. It became inflamed, caught fire, literally. Can you imagine a lake catching fire? Well, that's what happened. The lake caught fire, So what did they do? They stopped pouring the crap into the lake. Same thing. Number one, how do you deal with dirty blood? Stop putting the crap in the blood. And that means from a couple things. First of all, stop eating the way you're eating. Fried fats are especially damaging to the intestine. Fried fats. Estrogen can be a problem for women. And of course, we know about gluten and lectins and all the components that are in grains and beans and, anti-nutrients and, all of these substances. Look for foods that cause digestive distress, eliminate them. If you want to just kind of, just eliminate certain foods, eliminate grains. It's not going to hurt you. You don't need the grains. Eliminate them. Unless you want to just do it specifically, which is not a bad idea, do a food diary and kind of pay attention. But if you just want to just get rid of it quickly, stop eating eggs, stop eating dairy, stop eating grains, stop eating beans, stop eating cereal, all the foods that are the likely suspects. And eggs, by the way, it's unfortunate, but eggs can be a problem for some people, as wonderful as eggs are. And eggs are a wonderful, wonderful food, but they're also can be a problem for some people.
Even if you have a normal system, eggs can be a problem?
No, for some people, eggs, they'll react to eggs. Egg allergies are a thing because eggs are very high in protein from another animal. And that's really what the immune system does, is it looks for proteins from another animal because that means it's been invaded. So eggs can be a problem for some people.
Ben, we have an alert. We have the illustrious April with us. We're going to bring her on the screen.
April.
You're going to talk to April.
April. Good to see you.
Hi, Ben.
Hi, April. Where are you? What part of the world are you at?
Can you hear me?
I hear you, but you can't hear me, apparently. April? AJ? What are you doing, AJ? Work your magic. You can't hear us?
April, you can't hear us? April, put your speakers on.
I don't know.
Turn the volume up.
Turn the volume up?
You heard me say that? How about now? Do you hear us?
Ben?
How about now? Do you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, April. Where are you? What part of the world are you in? Where?
Toronto.
Oh, you're in Toronto. Love Toronto. Love Toronto. I used to go there every year till all that stuff happened and they ended the show. Did I meet you at the show ever? No? Can you hear me? April, this isn't going to work here.
I'm hearing double. Everything's echoing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you.
April, you're hearing doubling because you have Facebook still on.
I don't know what to do. I am not tech savvy.
Close Facebook.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh,
All right. Well, don't worry about it, April. I just want to see what you look like, so you can go off now. I want to kind of talk to you, but we can't do that. Can you hear me, or are we able to do this? Are we able to converse? No, I don't think so.
Maybe not. All right, April.
All right. April, listen, just listen in, April. I want to get to talk to you, have a little back and forth. But I did get a good it really helps me to look at people when I'm trying to assess their health challenges rather than just go kind of on symptoms. But April, it looks to me, and based on what you said, that you had the bladder problem and the Sjogren's problem, the myasthenia gravis problem, and I forgot what the other issue was, but they're all kind of involve dirty blood. So we got to clean the blood. I started to talk about cleaning the blood by eliminating the stuff that gets into the intestine, and that means you got to do a food diary. And guaranteed, April, you got something going on in your digestive system where you bloat, you have gas, you're uncomfortable, you got bowel problems, either loose stools or diarrhea or constipation, something. Look for foods that trigger those issues and eliminate those foods. And if I were you, April, I would take a day off from food in general, just to give your system a break, because it's probably hasn't had a break in years, and it's probably been pounded. So you got to give it a little bit of break. Now, if you go to a doctor, they're going to say, we don't want you to lose any more weight. You're losing weight. Okay, good. So because there is that issue where they think that, oh, you need the calories. You don't need the calories. You need the nutrition. And this is very important for people who are afraid that fasting is going to cost them weight. A lot of times people will say, oh, I don't want to lose any more weight. I can't fast. You don't want fat. You don't want fat. You want lean muscle. And lean muscle doesn't come from eating a lot of calories. It comes from nutrition, protein, and micronutrients, and to a certain extent, fats. So I'd be fasting and then doing a food diary and eliminating problem foods. Then once you find, and this is for everybody who's got an issue with dirty blood, because somebody else asked, how do we handle dirty blood? Then you're going to clean up the environment, the intestinal environment. So first, you're going to patch up, you're going to eliminate the inflammatory factors in the intestine from foods. Then you're going to change the environment in the intestine. Nightly essence is really important for that. Fiber can help. The ultimate microbiome, fermented foods, sauerkraut, miso, tempeh. Now, you got to be a little bit careful with fermented foods because fermented foods contain histamines. So you may have a problem with histamines. So be a little bit careful with the fermented foods. Kind of pay attention to what's going on. So you're going to restore the environment, a healthy intestinal environment, and that we have lots of supplements for that. And you're going to eliminate the problem foods. There's many more things you want to do, but that's the first step to cleaning the blood. And you'll also notice that your myasthenia gravis symptoms, your Sjogren's symptoms, and what was the other thing, AJ? The first thing she said? I forgot what the first thing was. The bladder problems, and there was a fourth thing. The muscle, whatever it was, you'll notice your symptoms flare. When your symptoms endometriosis. And I don't know how you had endometriosis, you mean, right? And fibromyalgia, you said too. All those are red flag signs of problems in the intestine, histamine, and malabsorption of fats or intake of the wrong kinds of fats. Now, you didn't say whether you had your gallbladder or not, but if you had it taken out, okay? Okay, good. So, I mean, not good, but that makes sense because you got a fat problem, okay? So here's the deal. Good news, bad news. Bad news first. You're in bad shape. Good news is you can turn around quickly. That's the good news because and that's really when somebody like I said earlier, when you're in really bad shape, you can turn around quickly because it means there's just a few little moves you got to make, a few little chess moves that you got to make, and it all starts with food. So if you want, I'm happy to work with you out of Toronto. Why don't you do this right away? Do a food diary, and we'll get you. I forgot about the I-26. That's another really great intestinal cleaner, if you will.
I was going to mention it.
Why don't you do your food diary? It's going to take you maybe a week to do it. And then if you can come on next week's call or the call Friday, we'll make you a case study. You want to be a case study? You're going to be a case study. And I want everybody who's on the call here, we don't have a lot of people on the call, but everybody who's on the call to observe this. You're going to see how this is done, and you're going to see how quickly we can turn this around. If you do everything we say and you follow along, we do this kind of systematically, you're going to see how this whole thing is played, and you're going to be a perfect example. We're going to make you a case study.
I think they may be accustomed to us being on at 10 o'clock.
Think?
I think that might possibly be it. But
right.
Pharmacist April, are you working? Shake your head, yes or no, if you're working with a longevity person now. No. Give
AJ,
us a call. You can call me, send an email. Becca's going to put it on the screen and she'll put it in the chat for you. So you can send an email. Make sure you put your phone number in the email so we can keep tabs of you. You know, Pharmacist Ben, I discovered a website
yeah,
that kind of talks about the things that you just mentioned, and it kind
really?
of lays it out systematically. I just stumbled over it.
Okay,
It's called triangleofdisease.com. So if you
okay.
folks go to
I like that.
triangleofdisease.com, you may glean some of the things that Ben has been talking to us about for years, months, and days, and have a better experience because you can teach yourself to help yourself. Go to that website, triangleofdisease.com, and get more information. Pharmacist Ben, I know you got to go,
I got a bolt.
but I have a question for you. I want to show you something here, and I
Yes.
want to know if you think this is accurate. Is this accurate?
Foods that debloat before and after. Kiwi, debloat. Ginger, peppermint. I'm not sure about the other ones.
Banana?
I'm not sure how that works. Banana could really wreak havoc on you if you have SIBO.
Peppermint?
Peppermint definitely, and ginger. Those for sure. I'd have to see what their thinking is on everything else, but peppermint and ginger for sure.
Okay,
And
now
I would say for sure. I would want to know what's in the other stuff. I can't see the one on the bottom there. It looks like pumpkin.
pumpkin.
I'm not sure what the thinking is on all these others. So I can't really answer that. But I know bananas will wreak havoc. You know, that's bacteria food if you have SIBO.
Okay, what about this one?
What's that?
It says every known illness is associated with magnesium deficiency.
Well, yes, magnesium deficiency is a big problem. But I don't know if I would say that, I don't know if I'd say that every known illness. I happen to know Norm Shealy. Magnesium deficiency is a problem for sure. And magnesium is involved in hundreds of different enzymatic reactions. So a lot of things can go wrong when you don't have enough magnesium. And most people don't have enough magnesium. And it may be that every known illness is associated with a magnesium deficiency, but that doesn't mean that every known illness is caused by a magnesium deficiency. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the answer to that. I'd have to. I don't know where he's making. I don't like assertions. That's an assertion. I don't really know that that's the case. It may be associated with a magnesium deficiency, but that's different from caused by a magnesium deficiency.
And what about this one? I know that you don't like to do allopathic nutrition, but this kind of indicates that there are.
It's hard. That's clickbait. That's clickbait. Yes, dry skin is associated with a vitamin E deficiency, but it's also associated with essential fatty acid deficiency. It's also associated with B vitamin deficiency. It's also associated with vitamin A deficiency. It's also associated with gallbladder problems. So yeah, vitamin E dry skin can be a sign of vitamin E deficiency, but it can also be a sign of EFA deficiency or phospholipid deficiency. You know what I'm saying? There's lots of things that can cause these aren't helpful.
So this is clickbait, folks.
Yeah,
you heard it from Pharmacist Ben. We want to thank April for joining us on the show today. I got my team bringing them on the screen, whether they want to be
Rebecca. Thank you, Ruth Ellen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pharmacist Ben. Thank you, AJ.
Thank you, everybody.
April, please email us at questions@dailywithdoc.com. Make sure you put your phone number in there so we can take some good care of you. Folks, Pharmacist Ben will be on Daily with Doc this Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, and you can get some more of his magical knowledge that just really, he's just pulling stuff from out of the air. It's got no root in anything that just means anything. He's just guessing, and for some reason, it just happens to work.
All right.
You don't agree with that, do you, Ben?
I do not agree with that. But thank you so much for the kind words, sort of. And but thank you for what you're doing. I know you're kidding around, but thank you for what you're doing. And thank you, Becca. And thank you, Ruth Ellen. Thank you to our listeners, present listeners and listeners in the future. Got to